with Rob Lewis, Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com. We talk about this roster a lot, Rob, but we talk about just how it's grown, how it's changed, how much deeper it is across the board. If there's one position everybody in college football is jealous of at Tennessee, it's got to be this defensive line position that literally can go a baker's dozen deep.
Yeah, and you didn't coin the phrase, but you may have used the phrase line of scrimmage league as much as anybody in the business. And I mean, it's used a lot because it's true. But you look at the success that Georgia and Alabama, have had this league, LSU, when they've been good. I mean, and look at how many NFL guys, you've had on the defensive line, and it's a bunch. I mean, and it's not rocket science to say that's a significant, key to success. And man, Tennessee, for the first time in a long time, looks like they can go toe-to-toe with the big boys in college football.
Yeah, they've got a lot of bodies to work with there. They have an elite body off the edge in James Pierce, who is a difference maker. If he stays healthy, it's going to shake the commissioner's hand very early in the NFL draft. This is the type of guy that Tennessee fans have always talked about having. They've had some of these type players in the past. This guy's a different animal out there off the edge. And, really good football player.
And, broken record, but in the SEC, if you're going to be great in this league, you better have one of those guys. I mean, Dallas Baker, Alabama, how many Nolan Smith at Georgia, or, Lorenzo Carter just goes on and on. You got to have those dudes, and James Pierce is a dude. I mean, he flashed as a freshman. I don't think anybody saw 10 sacks, coming last year, and he was just dominant. And it's kind of obvious, but you talk about he's great, but he's so great he makes other guys better, and that's Derek Barnett did that when he was here, and I think that's an underrated aspect of how good he is, how much attention he takes from the offense.
Yeah, and he's bigger, he's stronger, he's improved over the year. He's completely dialed in and focused. Had a great summer. Really curious to see the next step from him after a 10-year or a 10-sack year. Hard to say. There's a lot of growth ceiling there, but there is still some ceiling there for him to grow. Opposite of him on the other side is going to be a bit of an interesting position because Roman Harrison's gone. Tyler Barron's on his third school since heading into the portal. But they've got a bunch of different types of bodies that they can mix and match with, which is going to make that side really interesting.
Yeah, to me, it's just the depth. I mean, Pierce is a star, and I just think you have to get excited about the depth. I mean, inside and out. I mean, I just think there's a lot to like there, and I don't think there's a huge drop-off, anywhere. I'm not saying they've got 10 guys that are equally as good, but I don't think you don't worry. If you're Rodney Gardner, you see somebody sucking air, you don't worry about, oh man, we got to make it through this series. Right now, you got to hold up. I just think that embarrassment of riches is a little bit of a cliche, and Rodney Gardner is too much of a curmudgeon to ever say that.
Right.
But man, he's got to be feeling pretty good.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you got Dominic Bailey out there, you got Tyree Weathersby, who we're all curious.
Tyree West, we haven't even mentioned.
Tyree West is a guy who had 2 sacks in the bowl game. Looked like he's getting ready to take off there. And then you can go with your Rabbits package, and suddenly Joshua Joseph's out there, who's had his best offseason. He's put on more weight than he has in the last 2 years combined. You got Caleb Herring. And we're not even talking about Jordan Ross. And you
wonder about with Josephs, who when they were freshmen, it was more Josephs than Pierce.
Absolutely.
And so you wonder if he didn't look at that and was like, man,
let me go make some money.
I'm gonna. 2 years ago they were talking about me. I mean, what if that doesn't drive him to step his game up? And Caleb, I wouldn't be surprised if he has I'm not saying a 10-sack year. He looks a lot like James Pierce running around out here.
Yeah, a second-year jump for him will be interesting. Inside, Omari Thomas is a forgotten man. He's played 687,000 snaps at Tennessee. He's one of a bunch of guys in there when you talk about Omar Norman Lott. We think Bryson Easton's got a chance to make a real step. Elijah Simmons has had a good offseason to date. Can he stay healthy? There's just a lot of nice bodies to play with.
And man, I mean, a lot that you have to like there. I mean, and it's guys that you've been talking about forever. Yeah. And that's why, that's why
it's all back.
That's what I was going to say. Omari certainly had options. Bryson had options. And Omar Norman Lott was a real surprise for me last year with how disruptive, how kind of slithery he could be in there. And we've seen Coach Gardner's track record. It would be a surprise if guys didn't take a step forward.
Yeah, certainly. They got to get better. We haven't mentioned Davin Hobbs, Nate Robinson. There's literally
How do we not mention Davin Hobbs?
I mean, there's literally 13 guys in there. It's not hard to find on this defensive line. That's the bell cow of this defense that should help a secondary that's being revamped, should help some young linebackers out as well. Rodney Gardner will push, prod, tell them how bad they are all fall camp long, but they will be the most productive group on this Tennessee defense. That's why everybody's excited about the step Tim Banks' unit can make this season as opposed to the last couple of years. He is Rob Lewis. I'm Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com.